I know that this church, many people have felt storms this week. They know what it's like for the world around them to rage. And I pray, Lord, that you've shown them that there is peace in you alone. And know, Lord God, when times are tough, that we can always come to you. You'll be our source of strength. You are greater, Lord, greater than the fight, greater than the battle, greater than what we deal with in this world. Thank you, we can put our eyes on you. Help us to do that. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. That's almost important for me to hear today because you ever have a bad week? You know, someone said, Aaron, you're always so happy. I was going to smile on your face. Man, I have bad weeks. You know, sometimes things are just tough. Things don't go the way you think that they should. I had one of those weeks and you get feeling sorry for yourself. But praise the Lord that God is greater than the fight. We lean on Him when things are tough. No. We lean on Him when things go awry. Father, here we stand again, coming before you, Lord, with some words on a piece of paper. Lord, I pray that these are the words you've given me to say, and you want me to say, and God, you can take it away, whatever you want to take away, Lord, and add whatever I've missed. Lord, this is a desire of my heart to speak on your behalf, and it's a daunting task sometimes, Lord. But I believe that your Holy Spirit will move in spite of me and move through me. I believe you want to speak to this church today in some way. Holy Spirit, I need you to do that. And so I just give you permission to whisper in your ears, to scream in your ears if they need you to scream. Help us to hear what it is you have for us to say. Help me to hear what you want me to say, what you want me to know, what you need to do different. Help this church to hear what you want them to hear, what you need them to do different. Teach us, challenge us, encourage us. We stand here once again between heaven and hell. The stench of hell is real. We know we live in a world that is fallen, and without the love of Jesus, without your blood that was shed, there's no hope for them, Lord. We know that there's the glory of heaven, and the difference is a message. The good news, the gospel. The people need to hear the gospel. They need to know what the good news is all about. The good news is what's going to bring them into a relationship with you, Jesus. So today, if there's someone in this church that doesn't know the truth, Lord, show it to them today. If there's someone in this church that's a wayward sinner that needs to come back to you, help them to come back today. If there's someone who has never been introduced to you, may they know you, Jesus, by the end of this sermon. May they make a decision to follow you because of what you have said to them. Give you this time, give you this moment, and ask you to do amazing things for you. In Jesus' name we pray. Sam was a preacher, been in ministry for over 20 years. The church was growing, things were going great. But he noticed he had a little bit of back pain. He thought it's because he was getting a little bit older, and he did what most, grown men do, whine to our wives, and you don't go to the doctor. That's just the way it works, right? You whine, and you don't go to the doctor. He tried that for a couple of months, whined, and didn't go to the doctor, but the pain just kept getting worse and worse. And so he decided one day that he probably needed to go and see what was wrong, and went to the doctor, and they ran some tests, and took an MRI, and found out that he had a tumor that was growing around his spine. The tumor was not malignant, but it was growing, tightening the nerves, pinching off the nerves towards his legs, and the doctor said it's inoperable. If I remove the tumor, you will lose your ability to walk. You'll lose all feeling in the lower half of your body. He goes, so we can either let the tumor progress naturally and you will lose your ability to walk, or we can go in and remove the tumor and you'll lose your ability to walk. Either way, at some point in time, you're not going to be able to walk. And the pastor wasn't happy with either one of those options, but he decided that pain medication was the answer for the time. He really didn't want to go to a wheelchair right away. And so for 8 months, he just kind of sucked it up, took pain medicine, and got up front. But the pain became so great. One Sunday, he just was in so much pain with tears in his eyes. The congregation came forward. They stood around the pastor, and they prayed over him. But he went home that day in just as much pain as he had when he came to church that Sunday morning. What would he do? What would he do? I got thinking about our message for this week and the story about a paralytic. I began to wonder what the life of this paralytic was like. We're going to be in Mark chapter 2 today, 1 through 12 to read. It's a story about a man who had paralysis. paralytic, paralysis in the lower half of his body, and couldn't get up and walk. And the problem is it doesn't tell us a whole lot about this man. The Bible doesn't give us this information that I'd really like to know. We just know that he's a paralytic. That's what the Bible says. And so often the Bible does that to us, doesn't it? It doesn't paint a big enough picture for us. It doesn't give us enough information. In my mind, I want to know. I want to know his name. I want to know why he was paralyzed. I want to know who his friends were. But the Bible doesn't fill in those pieces for us. Sometimes the reason it doesn't fill in for us is because we really don't need to know. All we need to know is that Jesus Christ can forgive sins and Jesus Christ can heal the body. Sometimes that's what the writer wants us to know. That's the good news. And we've been talking about the good news, haven't we? And Mark 1:1 starts out with this. In the beginning of the good news about Jesus the Messiah, the Son of God. We've been talking about the good news. Jesus came to bring good news to mankind. Amen? Jesus is the good news. The good news that is for us. The good news that was brought to us. The gospel means good news, and Jesus Christ came to bring good news. And so many people in Mark chapter 1 experienced the good news. We talked about how people were leaving the temple and going down to the waters for baptism because they didn't feel forgiven. And Jesus was good news for the forgiveness of sins. And we talked about the man who was possessed by a demon. It was good news that the demon was cast out of him. And we talked about Peter's mother-in-law who had a fever. It was good news that the fever left her. We talked about all the sick people that were brought into the community and the good news of healing that entered into their life. We talked about the leper who was touched by Jesus and got his family back, his friends back, his life back. That was good news. Jesus is all about good news. Now, I can tell you, Jesus' good news is bad news to somebody. Jesus' good news is bad news to somebody. It was bad news to the religious system of that day. It was bad news to the religious leaders of that day. It was bad news to the teachers of the law who found out they couldn't preach when they had to preach next to Jesus. It was bad news for the demons in that day. It was still good news, but it just didn't sound like good news to everybody who heard the message of the good news. But Mark wants us to know something about the good news. The good news is Jesus. The good news is God in the flesh. The good news is that he came for a people like us. The good news is he can forgive the sins of humanity. That's good news, isn't it? And Mark wants you to know that. Mark wants you to know that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, God in the flesh, brings forgiveness for sins. That's our story today in Mark chapter 2, beginning in verse 1. A few days later, when Jesus again entered Capernaum. Now, let's stop right there at Capernaum for just a little bit. I hope you realize that when Jesus' ministry started in Mark, it starts in Capernaum. That's the place. That's the place where Jesus preached the message. That's the place where the demon was cast out of the man at the church service. That's the place where Peter's mother-in-law lived and she was healed of her fever. That's the place that all the people in the town gathered, was Capernaum. And Jesus comes back to this place of Capernaum, and it says the people heard that he had come home. Now, we don't know really what home means there. Did it mean he had a house in Capernaum? Probably not, because Jesus says he didn't have a place to lay his head, if you remember. And so he probably didn't have a house. Maybe this was his base of ministry. He goes to Capernaum quite often. But I kind of want to give you some pictures today of Capernaum. I took these when I was in Israel a few years ago. This is the city of Capernaum. You're seeing in the background the houses. It's really interesting. You're going to need to know this later. When they build houses, you would have, this would have been an outside wall of somebody's house, which is another wall in the next person's house, which is another wall in the next person's house. That's the way they built their houses. You know, you really built 3 walls, and you used your neighbor's wall for one of your walls. And then you built another house next to that. It would save you money, right, Ralph? I mean, you're not having to build that one outside wall. And that's the way that they would build houses in Capernaum, one attached to the next, to the next. This is the temple that Jesus cast the demon out in. This is the place that Jesus was standing that day. He was up front. He was reading. The sides were filled with people. It's the synagogue. This is the place where Peter's mother-in-law's house. You're going to see a picture of it in a minute. The Catholic Church put up a cathedral above the location where Jesus healed this woman of her fever. And so the house is right underneath of it, so much so that they put glass in the floor so you can look down at the exact spot that Jesus healed this woman. They know this is the spot. So when you stand there, you are standing where Jesus stood and healed somebody, which is pretty amazing. This is actually the home. There's some outside walls and some inside walls. It's a part of this house that Jesus was in on this day. They gathered here in Capernaum. Why is he back? Why did he come back to this spot? It doesn't say. It just says that he came home. When the people found out that Jesus was there, they swarmed to him again. They gathered, just like they did the last time. They gathered again. Maybe that same location, but the people started coming around. The house was filled. The streets were filled. The Bible says there was no room left. No space outside the house. No space on the inside of the house. Not just sick people this time, but there were some religious people there as well. Some of the teachers of the law came. Luke chapter 6 tells us that some of the Pharisees and Sadducees showed up in the house that day. The place is packed. And while all this is going on, while Jesus is preaching, and all these people there, there's this guy that the Bible doesn't tell us a whole lot about. This guy living in Capernaum. A paralytic, we know that much. We don't know why he was paralyzed. Was he born that way? Did a tumor grow in his back like it did Pastor Sam that I talked about earlier? Did he fall off of a roof? Did he dive into the water and break his neck? Was he playing a game of ditches when he was a kid and somebody tripped him and he fell? What caused him to be a paralytic? We don't know. We don't know if he was born that way or he became that way. We do know this. We know that he can't walk. And if he can't walk, there was no way for him to get to Jesus. There was no way for him to get to Jesus that day. There was no way for him to come to Jesus on his own. So many people can't get to Jesus on their own. So many people find themselves just like the paralytic in this story. Here was a guy that had a need, and Jesus had the ability to fix the need, but no one was getting him to where he needed to go. He knew that Jesus could fix it. Jesus was available. Jesus was in town, but he couldn't get there. I wonder, had he heard the news? Had the paralytic heard the good news yet? Had somebody told him the heavens were opened up? Had somebody told him that God had spoken? Had somebody told him the good news that Jesus was there? That he had been informed about sick people being healed? Did he know? Did he know? Did he know that Jesus was available for him? I was talking to a lady a number of years ago, and I asked her if she wanted to come to church, and she said, I can come to church. I said, sure, you're welcome. I'd love to have you come to church. Come on Sunday morning. She says, it's okay for me to come to church? I said, sure, it's okay to come to church. We'd love to have you come. And tears on her face because I didn't know that I could go. I've been waiting for somebody to ask me. Nobody had ever invited me. So I didn't think I could come to church. And I wonder how many people are like that. How many people are handicapped circumstances that make it difficult to progress. I mean, think about the huge push there is in churches nowadays to make churches handicap accessible. You hear that term a lot, right? Handicap accessible. And churches are trying to make their congregations more handicap accessible. That's difficult if you're living out in the surrounding communities. You've got one of those old 3-story churches. It's got steps to get into the church. You walk into the vestibule, and then there's steps to go up and steps to go down. And if you're handicapped, it's a struggle, right? And some of you are kind of, yeah, it is. It's hard for some older people to be able to make that journey. And you know what they've done? On the outside of the church, you'll see this ramp that goes like 3/4 of the way around because you have to have a certain grade to be able to get them in. And then they get inside, they have to have an elevator or an escalator or a chairlift or some people carrying them up the stairs or carrying them down. And churches are trying hard to be handicap accessible. We will go to great lengths to get members of the church who are handicapped physically into a place of worship. But what about everybody else that's handicapped that can't get into the church? I mean, the word handicap literally means a circumstance that makes progress difficult. A circumstance that makes progress difficult. Here, a circumstance that makes progress difficult. How many people are spiritually handicapped? There's some circumstance that makes it difficult for them to get to Jesus. How many people are emotionally handicapped? There's some circumstance that makes it difficult for them to progress closer to Jesus. How many people are relationally handicapped? There's some situation that makes it difficult for them to progress closer to Jesus. How many people have a sin handicap, a past handicap? handicap, an addiction handicap, an aversion handicap. How many people have problems with a kid handicap? Too many kids that can't get to church on Sunday mornings. How many people have bills as a handicap? Too much money, I just have to work on Sundays. How many people have a lack of knowledge as a handicap? The church isn't available for me. What about people who don't feel good about themselves, so they just can't walk to Jesus? People who don't feel good about their family, so they don't walk to Jesus. People who don't feel good enough about their clothes to walk to Jesus. People who don't feel good enough about their socioeconomic status to walk to Jesus. You get the picture, the world is filled with people with handicaps. This is one guy in Capernaum. How many other people in Capernaum couldn't get to Jesus because they were handicapped? How many other people aren't talked about in this story? I began to wonder this week, how many other handicapped people didn't have a friend to take them to Jesus that day? How many people in Logansport, Indiana don't have a friend to take them to Jesus today? How many handicapped people are there that need to come to the presence of Jesus, but there's no one to bring them, and they can't come by themselves? So there's this guy, he's sitting in his house. I get this picture in my head, this guy sitting in front of his television watching Dr. Phil trying to get the answers to his problems. This guy watching an infomercial about magnets and how it heals the body. And inversion therapy is the response. And so for $199, we'll hang you upside down and you'll feel better. I see this guy searching the web, trying to find the best doctors, the best physical therapists, the new treatment options. And I see a guy calling his supplier because he just wants to take the pain away. Just take the pain away. This pill just might help. Okay, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's just a guy sitting in front of his window, looking outside at all the little boys and little girls running up and down the streets, just wishing it was him. Just wishing he could take one more trip down that street. Just hoping that he'd have one more chance to chase his grandkids around the house. Maybe it's some guy pulling himself by his arms from the living room to the kitchen to the bathroom because he's all alone. And there's no one in the house but him. There's so many thoughts that just run through my mind, so many emotions that well up inside of me when I think about this guy. Jesus is the answer. He's stuck in his house. Then it happens. Then there's this knock on the door. It's not a knock because the doors are locked. If you're a paralytic, you can't lock your door because it takes you too long to get from the bedroom to the living room to the foyer to open the door. So there's a knock on the door, and then there's a barging in. And these three friends come running in. The fourth one was always late. We know somebody like that, don't we? You know, it's late, but hey, he gets there with the rest of them. And he barges in and says, "Hey, buddy, Jesus is in town. Did you hear about it? Jesus is here. We're going to take you to Jesus." He's going, "Jesus? Jesus who?" You know that guy we were telling you about, the guy that came the other day, the guy that cast the demon out, the guy that healed all those sick people. He's back. We want to take you to him. We want to take you to the synagogue where he's at. And the guy goes, "What do you now watch Oprah? Come on, Oprah's on. Why am I going to leave here to go to Oprah? Do you not know they're having the 221 days before Christmas marathon on? I can watch some guy standing under the mistletoe with some girl they can kiss again. It's amazing." Right? Because here's the reality. This guy has, hear me, no faith. We're going to find that out later in the story. It's not this man's faith that Jesus sees. It's his friend's faith that Jesus sees. So remember, we're talking about somebody who doesn't have enough faith to leave the house that day. But he's got some friends. And so many people need the faith of a friend. Amen. So many people need faith-filled friends these days. And these guys come into the house because they're a friend. Because this guy is their friend. Because they care about this guy. And they grab the mat. And they put the mat on the floor. And they drag. Can you see him dragging the guy? Come on, we're going to go see Jesus. I don't want to go. And they get him on the mat. And they pick him up. And they're walking out of the house. And the guy said, "Oh, it's just so much easier to stay here instead of go there." They didn't care. They didn't care. There was nothing that was going to keep them from getting to Jesus that day. Four corners of the mat. They're up. They're walking down the street. And as they're going down the street, they hear the voice. And it's the voice of Jesus. They've heard that voice before. And he's preaching. And they're going to get their friend to Jesus. When they get down the first street, the road is full. So they go around to the second street. And You know, it's sad. It's sad when the church is so filled with religious people that sick people can't get in. That's so sad. I mean, the Pharisees were there. The Sadducees were there. The religious leaders were there. The disciples were there. The people that have been healed were there. The roads were filled with people that were listening to Jesus. People that could have moved. People that could have given up their spot. People that could have been away for the young man to get there. But no. I'm going to keep my spot. This is my spot. I'm not moving. I'm not changing. This is for me. It's all about me. It's all about me. There's no way. No way to get to the house. But you know what? Good friends don't accept no way.
Amen.
Good friends don't accept no way. Good friends do whatever it takes. They're willing to do whatever it takes to get somebody into Jesus' presence. And these guys would do whatever it takes. They went around to the back, and there's usually in Jerusalem and all of this area, there's a little street in the back, and it would have stairways that would go up to houses. And people would use each other's stairways, because every house is connected to each other. And so you could go up on the stairway. There's an extra room. It was kind of like hanging out, you know? Drink a cup of coffee, get some Starbucks. Let's have fun. That's what they would do. They'd get up on the roof and they'd spend time together. And these guys, they said, hey, let's go up there. Let's go run back. So they run back and they carried him up one of these stairways on the back. And they hand him from roof to roof to roof to roof until they get to the roof and they can hear Jesus inside. And Jesus is preaching away. The great thing about these roofs is they're made out of tiles. And so you pick the tiles up, and underneath the tiles is a whole bunch of straw and hay. It's just insulation. And so these guys, they remove the tiles, and they start digging. And they're digging through, and all of a sudden they see Jesus, and the religious leaders are down there, and they're getting rained on. You know, the dust is falling. Think about these beautiful garments that the Pharisees and Sadducees are wearing are now covered in dirt. Just covered with dirt, and these guys, they don't care. There's one thing's on their mind today: is to take care of my buddy, to take care of my friend, to make sure he can come into the presence of Jesus. And so they start digging, and they dig through, and they see Jesus' face, and they take a rope on each corner, and they let their friend down right in front of Jesus. And Jesus looks at the man. He looks up at the four friends, and the Bible says he saw
Amen.
their faith. He didn't see a man laying on a mat that was filled with faith. He saw four friends. And so Jesus does something totally amazing, kind of like he did with the leper. Remember, the leper wanted to be healed, and what was the first thing that Jesus did to the leper? He touched him. And these friends bring this guy to Jesus so he can be healed. And what's the first thing that Jesus does? He looks at them and says, your sins are forgiven. Your sins are forgiven. Isn't that amazing? I mean, the friends bring the paralytic to Jesus because they think he needs a physical healing. But Jesus knows he needs something more than a physical healing. So he comes to get one thing, and Jesus gives him something better, something greater, something that he really needed deep down in. He needed, he wanted, he desired to be forgiven, but he couldn't be forgiven. He couldn't get into the temple because he wasn't able to get there. He wasn't allowed to go there. And Jesus gave him what? What nobody else had been able to give him. Jesus gave him what the religious leaders couldn't do, what the disciples couldn't do, what the friends couldn't do, what those who had been healed couldn't do, those who owned the house. He gave something to this man that nobody else on the face of the earth could ever get him. He said, your sins have been forgiven. And in a second there was a... The religious leaders gasped. Did we hear what we thought? Did Jesus really say that? Did Jesus say that this guy's forgiven? Nobody can do that. Can I just say, religious people don't like it very much when people like that get forgiven. It's okay if people look like us, smell like us, talk like us, taste like us. It's okay if they get forgiven, but guys, somebody like that. Why do we want somebody like this to be a part of the kingdom? Why do we want somebody like this a part of the club? Religious people don't like it very well when sinners are forgiven. This is too far. religious leaders, this is too far. It's okay if he preaches. It's okay if he heals a few people. It's okay if he casts out a couple of demons. That stuff's okay. But this, forgiving, this, are you kidding me? He can't do something like this. There's only one person that can do something like this. It's only God who can do something like this. And Mark wanted you to know that. Mark wanted to make sure that you knew that there was one person that can meet the needs of somebody who's spiritually handicapped. There's one person that can meet the needs of somebody who's emotionally handicapped. There's one person that can meet the needs of somebody who's relationally handicapped. There's only one person that can meet the needs of somebody whose life is filled with sin. And it is God. God in the flesh can do that. And Mark says, I want you to know something. It's God who did this. It's God. It's all about God.
Amen.
No one else can do what Jesus is doing. No one else. It's just Jesus. But people didn't like it. They didn't like it. That wasn't what they liked or what they wanted mattered. So Jesus knew their thoughts. Isn't it so amazing? He says, look, I know what you're thinking. Is that going to wake you out? Somebody looks and says, hey Fred, I know you don't agree with me because I know what you're thinking. You know, hey, sorry Phil, you're wrong. He was answering what was in their brains. This has got to be God, right? They didn't like it. And Jesus says, which is easier, to forgive sins or to tell the paralytic to walk? And I think it's a really good question. Which is easier? Which is easier? Is it easier to forgive sins or is it easier to make somebody get up and walk? Which is easier? Can I say both are impossible for me? Both were impossible for the Pharisees. Both were impossible for the Sadducees. Both were impossible for the teachers of the law. Both was impossible for everyone in the house except who? Jesus. Jesus is the only one. Jesus, I mean, it's kind of like Jesus says, look, which one's more difficult? Oh, I forgot you're human. That was the reality. There was only one person who could do what Jesus did that day, and Jesus did what he did. And Jesus says it because he wants them to know. He wants them to know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins.
Amen.
The Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins. And Jesus looks at this man who's laying on the mat and he forgives him of his sin. And he says this. He says, get up, take your mat, and go home. And the man gets up, takes his mat. And in full view of all of them, he goes, great story, isn't it? Great story. I wonder, what were they amazed about? What were they amazed at that day? Were they amazed that a sinner had his sins forgiven? Were they amazed that he took up his mat and walked home? Sam had been prayed for 8 months of pain, 8 months of sadness, 8 months of his prayers not even being answered. He went home that night, he went to bed, and he was laying in bed, God gave him a vision. The vision was Jesus in this water, and he was standing on the shore, and Sam walked out into the water where Jesus was at. And Sam was so excited, he's standing in the water with Jesus. This vision that he has in his mind, his back is racked with pain. He's standing in the water with Jesus, and Jesus grabs hold of Sam and dumps him under the water and brings him back up. And he looks Sam in the eye and he says, your sins have been forgiven. And Jesus turned and he started to walk out of the water. He's walking up on the shore, and Sam's standing there in the water. He yells out to Jesus, Jesus, what about my back? What about my tumor? What about my legs? Jesus stopped. He turned around. Sam said the first time that Jesus looked at him, he felt the joy. This time, it was sadness on Jesus' face. Sam said it was like he could see a tear running down Jesus' cheek. And Jesus dropped his head and said, that too. That too. Isn't it sad when healing of the body is greater than healing of the soul? Isn't it sad when we think the greatest thing that Jesus did that day was making a paralytic to walk? The greatest thing he did that day was to give a sinner freedom in Jesus to see God once again.
Amen.
The greatest thing he did that day was to give him a home in heaven for all eternity. The greatest thing that he did that day was to create a relationship that had been broken. That was the miracle that day. And so often that isn't enough. But it is. A miracle-working God making a place for you to all eternity in heaven. Isn't that a great gift? Isn't that the greatest miracle of all? Something that nobody else can do? And Jesus has done that for you. For every one of you. He's opened up a door for you to spend eternity with God in heaven. Are you thankful for the miracle of your salvation?
Amen.
Are you grateful for it? Do you tell Jesus how thankful you are? Or do you let a bad week, a lack of healing, a struggle in your finances, do you let that keep you from finding joy in your salvation? The greatest healing God ever gave you was a spiritual healing. And it's the healing that all of us need. Father, thank you that you're a God who heals us spiritually. Thank you for forgiving us. Thank you for washing us in the blood of the Lamb and making us right with you again. Thank you for doing what nobody else could ever do. Thank you for loving people like us so much that you made a way for us to get to heaven again. Father, I pray for somebody in this church today that doesn't know you. This will be the moment that they come to realize how much you love them. That you don't want to just forgive that paralytic, but you want to do that to every single one of us. You want to look us all in the eye and say, you've been forgiven. So God, I pray today as we close this service, if there's somebody here today that doesn't feel that, they will know it today. That they'll come to this altar today and just know. They will know that they've been forgiven. They'll feel it inside of them. I pray, Heavenly Father, if there's somebody here that's never confessed your name, today will be the day, Lord God. Bring salvation into this house this morning. Use this moment, Lord, to bring people into a relationship with you. If there's some wayward sinner that has walked away, I just pray today, Lord God, that today's the day that they walk back. If we become a prodigal son, Lord God, help us know that your arms are wide open and you're ready to forgive us again. God, take this moment to do something in us. God, if there's somebody in our lives that we need to go to and bring to you, help us to have a new passion for that. Help us have a new desire, Lord God, to reach out to people that are so spiritually handicapped that they can't come to know you without us. So God, put it in our hearts, put a passion in our hearts to open the doors of this church up and bring more people, Lord God, to you, to drag them in here, to go to their house, to encourage them, to bring them, Lord God, into your presence. Do something in us, Jesus, that makes us have the same desire that these four friends had for their friend. Move in us.